All right, this is a lesson that I was actually giving a student, but I'm going to slow it down and give it to my YouTube subscribers to try to learn how the hip socket works. I would say 90% of golfers since the last 21 years that I have worked with, most of the time they actually don't understand what the hip turn, the hip rotation is, or where it comes from. Let me back up. They understand it intellectually, but they don't really know how it happens. So if you do this, you're going to be able to learn how it happens. Most important key here is you are not rotating your spine. You are not rotating your shoulders. You're going to move one joint, and that's the hip socket. And the hip socket is real similar to a hard-boiled egg. If you pulled out the yolk, the inside of that is smooth, unless you have like bone on bone or something going on in the hip. The motion and rotation of the hip happens really easy. You can see right here that my belly button is dead center. I'm preloaded to the left, and the reason I'm over here, over on that left side and preloading, is because at impact and as you're rotating that hip, you're on your left side. So you're not going to be rotating the left hip socket until your body weight is on the left hip socket. If your weight was back here on the right, you wouldn't be using your left hip socket to rotate, which is what we want. Hopefully, with the downswing move, you're learning to get to your lead leg in less than half a second. That's how long it takes, and that's how it shouldn't take you any longer to clear your right side, get completely on that left leg in half a second. So at this point, I think I'm going to take I'm going to make a 45-degree rib cage rotation. Okay, so just trust me on that. I have the lower body cut out because that's what I want you to focus on. When you see my hands come through that impact zone, it's nothing I'm doing with my arms, my hands, or my rib cage. I am merely rotating the hip socket. There you go. So it brought my hands through. And a lot of people always wonder, well, how do those tour pros, they maintain the triangle actually after impact and through follow through? That's because they're not swinging their arms. They are rotating the hip socket. And that moves really easy. And I want you to also notice another thing. As I start shifting to the left, I'm not using the downswing move in this, by the way. I'm just moving my pelvis to the left. Watch my left knee. Straighten. And you have to stay down through your shot. You're going to maintain spine angle, push your left butt cheek or the lead leg butt cheek back, keeping your head behind the ball, and don't stand up. And just get used to that hip rotation from belly button square to belly button to the target. Belly button square, belly button to the target, and do it over and over. And I would do it in front of a mirror because you'd be surprised how many golfers actually take their upper body, their shoulders and everything, and they move it out here. The shoulders stay back, let that hip socket do all the work. This is actually a demonstration I was just for chipping. It's one of the best ways to develop consistent chipping, pitching, lob shots. Use the left hip socket, not your arms and hands. Arms and hands can move multiple directions, but your hip socket only moves one way, and it rotates, and that's what we want. So give that a shot and see if it gives your mind-to-body connection a deeper understanding of what hip rotation really means.